Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Am I the A-hole? Story 1. AITA for being an arm toucher. Recently in conversation it came up with my husband that I am an arm toucher. In conversation with people, sometimes I touch their arm or their shoulder when I speak. It's never with intimate intent. Just purely instinct. I have ADHD, so I think it is because I get excited. My husband was extremely offended at this and told me that was so inappropriate and not okay. He is convinced it is solely a form of advance coming from a woman and could be nothing else. I told him I had not thought that, and from my perspective it is purely just a way to be friendly and connect in a conversation. I fully acknowledge that I am not the best at socializing, so I am open to the idea that I might be wrong. So please help me understand. I don't drink, so this never happens around alcohol. And the last time I hung out with even one friend was months ago, and I touched her arm, I think, as I was laughing at her joke. Aside from that, I don't really hang out with anyone. Recently it happened at work when a male CO worker misunderstood a suggestion I was proposing. Paraphrasing to keep confidential, but this is the gist. CW, no, I don't think we should. Me asterisk puts hand on arm to politely interrupt him asterisk. Oh no. I mean, there were at least 2 other people around. And we were standing around brainstorming off the cuff. There is never any discomfort or anything that I have noticed. So help me understand. If a known to be married woman in a group setting touched your arm in context, how would you feel? If you're so did it, how would you feel? Am I the asshole? Regardless of the answer, I told my husband I would try to be more aware of it and stop. But he is still hurt and is not letting that be the resolution to it. Suggestions on how to make him feel more heard? I told him I understand where he is coming from and it's valid, even though I hadn't thought it inappropriate. And it's okay that we saw it differently because now I know how he felt about it. So I'd stop. But he is still hurt and I'm not sure I fully understand why. Please be kind. My intent is genuine. Edit to add, I know I should work on not doing it regardless. I understand the times now with consent. And the aspects of that. I just didn't feel like I deserved such a strong reaction from my husband. Story 2. AITA for going against my mother. Me, 15F. I'm on a call with my friend, 16M, he's playing a game and is cussing at his friend. I'm sitting in my living room, my mom, 52, overhead it. She yells at me saying I can't cuss. I wasn't, and my friend can't either. He's not even in her house. She told me that if he cussed again my other friend couldn't come over, even though she wasn't a part of the problem. I told her she can't tell him what to do and I didn't care what he said, plus he wasn't even cussing at me. She told me she didn't want to hear it and to go to my room. If she heard anything else I'd be grounded. I asked her why she said that and she didn't want to hear it. I feel bad for going against her, but AITA for saying these things? Story 3. Wibta if I told my best friend I'm jealous of her and another friend. Read the whole story before jumping to conclusions. So my best friend is my BSF literally forever, and recently we made some new online friends through an Instagram GC. My BSF has grown close to one of them, I'll call her Lisa. So Lisa and my friend talk a lot and even mail each other gifts. Lisa lives in a different country, just a BTW. I feel like everyone in the GC knows each other better than I do, and being human, I get jealous. Lisa and my BSF are constantly saying how they love each other, illism when they post something nice about the other. My best friend doesn't say she loves me, it's probably cause I already know she does, but honestly I feel super left out. My best friend knew what Lisa looked like for a long time and no one cared to let me know. Everyone knows what I look like, but Lisa never showed me her face, but she showed everyone else. It's making me super insecure and jealous. I posted a story about how I feel like my friends are drifting away from me and how I feel left out, and Lisa asked me if she makes me feel that way. I'm a nice person, so obviously I said no. I want to tell my best friend all of this, but I'm scared and I don't want to come off as clingy or rude. Keep in mind, I made the GC and we are all friends because of me, yet I'm the most left out and disliked person. So, Wibda/Ida? Story 4. Ida for bitching at my boyfriend about not letting me know when he stops for a drink. This seems like such a small thing overall, and he says I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, but it just triggers me for some reason, like he doesn't respect our previous arrangements or my time. Several times it's been things like him saying he's gonna come over after work, he just has to do X and Y task and will be there after. I text him at some point to see where he's at in the process, and he's out for a drink, either with a friend who contacted him at some point while he was doing X and Y task, or by himself. If I complain he'll do the whole "oh what, I can't even go for one drink." But it's not at all about that, just tell me when you've decided to go for a drink if we made plans. Is that too much to ask? Today, for example, he had yoga till 8, at a location like 5 miles from my place. I asked him if he was coming over after yoga, he says yup, of course. So at 8:40 I text him asking what's up, and he says oh the class went 30 minutes over, we just sat down for a beer 5 minutes ago. I just want him to let me know when shit like this happens. Like, just fucking let me know so I'm not sat around thinking you're gonna walk through the door any second while you're out at a bar. I start work at 10 so I could have been napping this whole time instead of waiting for him to arrive. He says he didn't do anything wrong, I'm making him feel guilty for stupid stuff etc., but I feel like he's not getting my point at all. It's not about the damn drink or hanging out with his friends, it's about saying you're gonna do X and actually doing Y, without letting me know, and messing with my time in the process. I'm also pregnant so could be overreacting, I suppose. I just can't see myself doing that to someone else, like if I tell you I'm coming over after X activity or at Y time, then if something pops up in between, I'll let you know that I'll be late. Isn't this what you're supposed to do? Am I just too controlling or expecting too much? Ida? Story 5. Ida for not sending my husband $500. I apologize in advance for this being long. My husband, 59, and I, 53, have been together for 10 years, married for 8. My kids and I started staying with him about 3 months after we met. He was behind on all of his bills, and I ended up taking over all household expenses except the mortgage, $550/mo. I had a decent career, and could almost afford to do this, but I did lose my small house because I couldn't afford to keep it and pay the other expenses as well. When we married he filed a quitclaim, legally adding me to his property deed. Last year, he was offered a job 2 states away. The kids were grown and moved out, so I resigned my position, we sold the house, and have been living in a travel trailer in campgrounds in our new state. We used the proceeds from the sale to buy 2 decent used vehicles, the older model camper we live in, and put the rest in a savings account in my name, because no bank will give him an account due to past banking history. The plan was to use this to buy property in our new state, when we find what we want. I found a job making much less than my previous, and net about $700 every 2 weeks. His hourly is 2.5 times mine. He still pays no living expenses, and I have had to use a bit of our savings each month to keep everything paid. Lot rent alone is $800. He has recently started his 4th job since we moved. A month after getting his 3rd job, he told them he was looking for a new one and they let him go. He had nothing lined up, and has gone 6 weeks with no paycheck. I put fuel in his truck and bought him tobacco, and of course kept the bills paid. Friday morning I was leaving to visit my kids in our home state. After leaving for work, he texted and told me to leave him $100, and that he would be paid Monday. I don't carry much cash. Knowing at most he only needed fuel for the 30 miles to work Monday morning, I left the $15 I had and headed out. About halfway there, I got another text message that said they were holding his first check, and I needed to give him $500 for the week. He got very angry when I did not turn around and go back to give him cash I didn't have, and told me to stay the F up there. When I got to our home state, I sent him $175 of the $200 in my checking account via Western Union, because it was an instant transfer vs 3 to 4 days from a bank account. He called and cussed me out, saying it wasn't enough to get him through the week, even though he's only working 3 days due to a holiday. He again demanded I send him $500. I said $190 should be plenty for fuel, and he again told me not to bother coming back. He said that since I blew $500 over Labor Day for my share of airfare, hotel, and rental car to travel with my 2 oldest children, 32 and 30, to attend the unexpected funeral of their father, I owe him that much from savings. AITA for refusing to send him more than he could possibly need, and almost as much as I bring home in 2 weeks, knowing he isn't paying any bills? Story 6. AITA for telling my mom she don't understand BC she's never been pregnant. I 2am was adopted by my mother. She was incapable of conceiving a child after having a hysterectomy due to a horrible accident. She's grieved her uterus and biological children, so it's not a subject we bring up. My Fian is 27 weeks pregnant and has diagnosed hyperemesis gravidarum. We just got a diagnosis finally after no one was listening to, and we are trying to get her body back on track, but some things are too much. We had my mother and father over yesterday night for dinner. My mother wanted to teach my Fian how to cook an authentic Italian meal. After many apologies, my Fian said she couldn't take the smell, and went upstairs. My mother is short-tempered, she's old-fashioned Italian, and is very strict, and judgmental. She began to go on and on about how you never treat a guest that way, especially an in-law, and how she had driven 40 minutes to come do this. I tried to explain the situation, and she insisted my Fian was just being overdramatic, so I said you wouldn't understand ma because you've never been pregnant. My mom bursted into tears, and they left. My dad called me and said he agreed with me, but I needed to apologize BC my mom had locked herself in the bedroom for the night crying. I of course feel bad for my mom, but she doesn't understand. AITA? Story 7. Wibta if I tattled on my student's nanny. This plot might sound very parasite-like, but I promise you it's not. My mom has been a housekeeper for this family for almost 10 years now. They're a family of 4, and they have an almost 2-year-old dog that they've just left for the first time as they went on holidays overseas. They also have a nanny who is supposed to be staying at their place and taking care of the dog. She's being paid extra for that. I also happen to be the kids' piano teacher, and I have an unrelated part-time dog-sitting business, hence the parasite comment lol. The family left for the holidays about a week and a half ago, and on Friday, I went to help my mother clean and happened to notice that the family dog was behaving very unusually. She always comes to greet me at the door and loves to be petted, and this time she didn't. She was shaking and very distant. I figured it was because it's the first time she's without the family for so long and didn't think much of it. I did, however, notice that the food in her bowl looked pretty dry, as if it'd been there for a few days, but my mom confirmed the nanny was there the day before, so again, I chose not to think too much of it. When we were leaving, we ran into the nanny, and I was reassured to see her there, but she did say that she was just coming to check on the dog and that she would leave right away because she wants to teach the dog to stay alone and be less clingy. I'm not sure whether or not that was agreed with the owner, so I didn't say anything, but I don't think that's something she should be doing. I went back on Tuesday, so 4 days later, with my mom because I really wanted to check on the dog, and the poor thing was even more skittish than last week. The food in her bowl looked like it was the same as Friday, which is leading me to think she might not have wanted to eat it due to being sad about the separation, and that the nanny just simply didn't change it since. I took a photo of it so that my mom could check when she goes tomorrow if the food was changed or not. I told my mother we should say something to the owners because it looks like the poor dog is being left alone and not fed properly, but she's scared of getting involved and having it turn against her because she's the housekeeper and has to see the nanny every time she's there, and she doesn't want them thinking she's telling them so they'll fire the nanny and give me the job. On the other hand, only see her once a week and could not care less if she doesn't like me because I shared my worries with the family. Just to be clear, I also don't want her job at all. My mother is fine with me talking to our boss, she just doesn't want to get herself involved. Also, the nanny is being paid extra to stay at the family house with the dog for more time than she usually does when she nannies the kids, which is why I don't think the family would be okay with her leaving the dog alone for so long. So would I be the asshole if I told the family about my worries? That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.